You know, when it comes to wrestling fans of all kinds, hardcore, casual, you name it, a lot of us have our opinions on how things are done. And what's interesting is there is several people, ever since the inception of All Elite Wrestling, that feel that AEW is nothing more than another WWE promotion or connected promotion. Although a lot of people have said that that is not the case. And the reason they say that is because to them there is no evidence that WWE, has anything to do with All Elite Wrestling. Yet, there's this group, there's this YouTube channel with a group of guys who have a right to their opinions, like all of us do, whether you want to believe them or you don't. And I will provide a link at the end of this video to them so you can check them out. But these guys are very opinionated. They're the kind of wrestling fans, or formerly wrestling fans, probably once in a while casual fans now, that, will look at something like AEW from a conspiracy perspective. They will not accept the fact or the truth that something like All Elite Wrestling is its own thing. That they feel that there's too much evidence to support the fact that WWE has something to do with it. And they bring up a lot of interesting conspiracy theories. In fact, they even did an updated video to their top 10 reasons why AEW is an inside job at WWE. I mean, they bring up the fact that, you look at all these legends that WWE let go that were producers behind the scenes, bookers behind the scenes, and now they're in those same positions almost automatically with All Elite Wrestling. They point out the fact, and they even showed screenshots, whether you want to believe these screenshots or you don't, from a television set, that at the end of Dynamite or Rampage, mostly Dynamite I should say, it showed captions copyrighted World Wrestling Entertainment. They even showed something that looked like it could be a photoshopped situation, but they'll probably deny it, and they have a right to do that, by indicating whether this was internationally, right after the US version of WWE Network was absorbed into Peacock, whether this was on the international versions of WWE Network or whatever. They point out that AEW Revolution was put onto the network. Was broadcast on, or at least advertised to be airing on the network. And they feel that that's too, suspicious. Like, why would you do that? Now, I could chalk it up to maybe a technical issue on the side of WWE if that did happen, or at least the people that they, hired to run the WWE streaming service, or WWE Network streaming service. I think we could chalk it up to that. But these guys, along with many other fans, feel basically that there's too much of a conspiracy out there and too much evidence, if you will, to say that AEW is not connected and associated, if not in a way owned and run by WWE, even though Tony Khan is the owner. Now they bring up the fact that Tony Khan's dad and Vince McMahon are good friends, and that Tony Khan's dad took him backstage several times to meet Vince, and there's pictures of him backstage with superstars of WWE. Now, this is all before AEW, but they pretty much feel that this was all a grooming situation that Khan wanted to have for his son so that Vince would bring him on board to probably hopefully someday supersede him, which I don't think has any truth to it, but people again have their own opinions when it comes to these conspiracy theories. But with that said, you have to ask yourself, why does any fan believe this kind of stuff? Why do they feel there's something to what's going on with AEW that has some kind of close connection to WWE? I think it's mainly for the fact that AEW's roster, which is huge right now, is chock full, in their opinions, of WWE talent. Some WWE talent that were originally, homegrown in WWE, mostly for most of their careers, I should say, WWE born, bred, and all that. And some are consistent of people that, were part of WWE, became big names in WWE after the Independence Day, independent days, if you will, and now are in AEW because of their reputation. They just find it too weird and too coincidental. But again, that's their opinion. to me, me honestly, even though I haven't watched much wrestling in a while, I'll still pay attention to it. I'm still a fan. Hey, that's why I'm glad that CM Punk is back in wrestling, and gives me an opportunity to tune into AEW and see what they do with him. But for me as a fan, and I'm not saying this because, I'm a fan of all elite wrestling and what they're doing right now. I'm saying this as a fan of over 35 plus years. And that is the fact that I do not think there is any connection whatsoever. I mean, if there was a connection, you don't think for 1 second that Triple H wouldn't say, hey, I'm going to go over to AEW, make an appearance, and announce this big event between the AEW stars and all that. You don't think he wouldn't do that? He would. So would Vince McMahon. So would Stephanie. So would Shane. But we haven't seen that. So to me, there is no inside job, in my opinion. But again, that's my opinion. The same as it's the opinion of these guys that say the things that they do. Because again, they're bringing up all this evidence and everything. Now, I know some people will come out and wonder, why is AEW getting so much hate? Why are people so determined that AEW is not going to last long? Maybe it's because of the fact that from their point of view, they're seeing the fact that Tony Khan, from what they see, that's what I'm trying to say, from their point of view, from what they see, Tony Khan is spending money like water. He's spending money by the millions, the thousands, whatever, to sign talent to make his roster humongous. And they believe, basically, from their point of view, that by him doing that, that's what's going to basically cause AEW to flounder in the near future. Like, it's not going to happen now, but eventually it will. I mean, a lot of people look at the fact that they're going to TBS as a downgrade because what? It shows reruns of Family Guy and American Dad, and that those get bigger ratings, sometimes viewership numbers, than AEW would? No. I mean, that's not it, period. What I'm trying to say. They're doing it because they know if they can go to TBS, they'll get more eyes on their product. People who have heard about AEW, they don't get TNT in their area unless it's part of a additional package they would have to add to the cable service. They'll be able to see it with their own eyes. It's not a downgrade, it's a way to get more people invested in the show. But again, that's everybody's opinion. That's those that are conspiracizing their own opinion. Some have even said that Rampage won't be the way it is, right now in the next several months or next year. That it's going to go from being this big show that it is now to being nothing more than a regulated B or C plus show for the enhancement talent to finally get themselves over. Or whatever the case may be. The fact of the matter is, in today's wrestling world, you're going to have people that are still fans, but they're basically fans that are on the outside looking in. Like, they'll check in every once in a while to give their opinions on stuff. But by being on the outside looking in, from their point of view, they have a better idea of what they see going on. They have a better idea of what they see going on and how they feel something is just either right or it isn't right, or how something seems suspicious or not suspicious. And that's why you have people like these guys here at this channel, with these videos, basically, like I said, of AEW being an inside job. That's why you have them coming on here and sharing their opinions, sharing their thoughts on why they feel something is just not right. Something's, it's like something's wrong in Denmark, as the old saying would go. But again, that's everybody's opinion. I'm sure if guys like Just Alex and Solomonster and OTRS Central and Good Mic Work and Aaron Rift and all of them that I listen to, Brian Zane, if they would have listened to these guys, they'd be like, what are they smoking? What are they thinking? What have they been drinking? Because they would listen, because I guarantee you, they would hear that and they'd be like, are these guys out to lunch or something? But again, it's because they have their opinions on what they see from being on the outside, being wrestling fans that are watching from the outside, because being fans, because the fans that are not as fan-like as they used to be, thus being on the outside, they could see exactly what they feel is not right with AEW and why they feel there's something suspicious going on. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see if these conspiracy people, just like this group, or just like this channel, and these fans, we'll have to see maybe if they're right in the future. I mean, if they're right, then heck, if they're right, heck, like I'm trying to say, if they're right, we got to give it to WWE. Got to give it to WWE, because if there is any truth to what these guys say, then hey, we got to give it to Vince and his crew. They pulled one over on us. They figured, well, people still look at us as just sports entertainment. We'll show them we're still wrestling. We'll help this guy create all elite wrestling. We'll make it focused on wrestling, but it will still be by us. So yeah, well, if there's any truth, give them credit, but I don't think there is. I don't think there's any truth, period. I don't think there's any fact to the matter whatsoever. I think AEW is its own thing. And even if AEW doesn't last for another 10 years or so, at least the impact on the business, let's say very similar to ECW, will be felt, because now companies like WWE, companies like the NWA, like Impact, they're going to have to shape up and be like, okay, we don't want fans turning against us. We'll do what AEW did, and we'll just go in that direction. And that's what they'll do. That's what they'll do. So, let me know what you guys think, though. What are your thoughts on, these fans that come out and have these conspiracy theories and, feel that something is just not right when it comes to things like AEW and, how they, have all these group of talent, that came out of WWE. What are your thoughts? Comment down below. Let me know what your thoughts are on the live chat during the premiere. Just Alex, OTR Essential, Solomonster, Aaron Rift, Brian Zane, Greg Morgan. I'd love to hear what your guys' thoughts are on this overall. And I will talk to you later. Peace. I'm out.